Swastika. The swastika, an ancient symbol used for millennia in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism as a sign of luck and prosperity, was appropriated by the Nazi Party in Germany during the 20th century. Under Adolf Hitler, it became the emblem of Nazism, representing Aryan supremacy, anti-Semitism, and the regime responsible for the Holocaust. Today, the swastika is banned or strictly controlled in many countries, including Germany, Austria, and France, where public display, sale, or promotion is illegal. The ban targets the Nazi usage specifically, aiming to prevent the spread of hate, glorification of genocide, and the revival of fascist ideology. Totenkopf. The SS Totenkopf, or Death's Head, is a skull and crossbones symbol used by the Nazi Schutzstaffel SS, particularly the Totenkopf units responsible for concentration camps and enforcing Nazi ideology. The emblem represents loyalty to the SS and the Nazi regime and is directly associated with mass murder, war crimes, and the Holocaust. Today, the symbol is banned in Germany, Austria, and other countries due to its explicit connection to Nazism and hate groups. Legal restrictions cover public display, merchandise, online promotion, and use in propaganda. The ban aims to prevent the glorification of genocide, fascist ideology, and extremist violence. Hammer and sickle. The hammer and sickle is a symbol that originated in the early 20th century to represent the union of industrial workers, hammer, and peasants, sickle, under communist ideology. It became the emblem of the Soviet Union and later associated with various communist movements worldwide. The symbol is banned in several countries, including parts of Eastern Europe like Poland, Hungary, and Latvia, because it represents totalitarianism regimes responsible for mass repression, political purges, and human rights abuses. The ban targets public display, promotion, or use in propaganda, aiming to prevent the glorification of regimes that caused suffering under authoritarian communist rule. Black Sun. The Black Sun, or Schwarze Sonne, is a symbol that originated in Nazi Germany and later became associated with neo-Nazi and far-right occult movements. It consists of a circular pattern of 12 radial sig runes and is often linked to esoteric Nazi ideology, Aryan supremacy, and mystical interpretations of power. Due to its connection to fascism and white supremacist groups, the Black Sun is banned or heavily restricted in countries like Germany and Austria, particularly in public displays, propaganda, and extremist gatherings. The prohibition aims to prevent the promotion of hate, racial supremacy, and neo-Nazi ideology, while discouraging the revival of symbols tied to historical atrocities. Pentagram. The pentagram, a 5-pointed star, has been used in various cultures for centuries, often symbolizing protection, balance, or the 5 elements. However, when inverted, it became widely associated with occultism, Satanism, and black magic in Western societies. Certain countries, particularly those with strict religious laws, have restricted its display in schools, public institutions, or media due to its perceived connection to demonic worship or moral corruption. The bans often target the inverted pentagram specifically, aiming to prevent what authorities consider harmful spiritual influence or societal disruption, rather than the upright symbol, which retains historical or decorative uses in some contexts. Anarchy. The circled A, representing anarchism, emerged in the 20th century as a symbol of political rebellion against centralized government and authority. While anarchism itself is a political philosophy advocating self-governed societies, the symbol has been linked to violent protests, riots, and anti-government movements in various countries. Because of this association, authorities in some nations restrict its display in public spaces, schools, or media to prevent perceived incitement of disorder or lawlessness. The ban is often not on the ideology itself, but on the public promotion of the symbol, as it can act as a rallying point for groups that engage in illegal activities or civil disruption. Black Panther. The Black Panther symbol, associated with the Black Panther Party, founded in 1966 in the United States, represented black empowerment, self-defense, and resistance against racial oppression. During the civil rights era, it became highly controversial because the party also advocated armed self-defense and sometimes clashed with law enforcement. Governments and institutions at the time banned the symbol in certain schools, public spaces, and media, viewing it as a threat to public order and national security. The restrictions were primarily aimed at limiting political agitation and preventing the spread of revolutionary sentiment among African American communities, especially during periods of heightened racial tension. Rising Sun. The Rising Sun flag, featuring a red sun with rays extending outward, was historically used by Imperial Japan during its military expansion in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It became a symbol of Japanese nationalism and militarism, associated with invasions, colonization, and wartime atrocities across Asia, including Korea, China, and the Philippines. Due to this legacy, the flag is banned or restricted in several countries, particularly in contexts such as schools, public demonstrations, or government buildings, where it is seen as glorifying aggression and oppression. The ban serves to acknowledge historical suffering and prevent the promotion of militaristic nationalism. Wolfsangel. The Wolfsangel rune is a symbol originating in medieval Europe, historically used as a heraldic emblem or hunting tool. During World War II, it was appropriated by Nazi Germany, notably by certain Waffen-SS divisions and German military units, where it became associated with nationalism, militarism, and far-right ideology. Today, its public display is banned or restricted in several countries, including Germany, when used in neo-Nazi or extremist contexts. The ban focuses on preventing the promotion of hate, white supremacy, or extremist political movements. The symbol's use in historical or artistic contexts is typically exempt, distinguishing legitimate cultural heritage from modern extremist appropriation. Peace. The peace symbol, a circle with 3 lines forming a vertical line and downward-facing fork, was originally designed in 1958 for the British nuclear disarmament movement. Over time, it became widely associated with anti-war protests, counterculture movements, and political activism. In certain countries, particularly during periods of political repression or military rule, the symbol was banned or restricted because it represented dissent, civil disobedience, or opposition to government policies. The ban targeted public displays, rallies, or printed materials to prevent the spread of anti-government sentiment, maintain social order, and suppress movements that challenge state authority or military agendas. Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan (KKK) symbol, including the distinctive white hood and cross insignia, represents a secretive organization founded in the United States after the Civil War. It is associated with white supremacy, terrorism, lynching, and violent intimidation of African Americans and other minority groups. Many states and institutions have banned the public display of KKK symbols, flags, and regalia to prevent the promotion of hate, racial violence, and extremist ideology. The bans are particularly enforced in schools, government properties, and public events, aiming to protect vulnerable communities from harassment and to curb the influence of organized hate groups in society. Celtic Cross. The Celtic Cross, a traditional symbol combining a cross with a circle, originally represents faith, heritage, and cultural identity in Ireland and other Celtic regions. However, in modern contexts, it has been co-opted by white supremacist and neo-Nazi groups in Europe and North America. As a result, some countries restrict its display when used in explicitly racist or extremist contexts. The ban targets the symbol's use to promote hate rather than its cultural or religious meaning, aiming to prevent its exploitation for intimidation, recruitment, or glorification of racial supremacy. Public display in political rallies or propaganda materials is particularly scrutinized. Hammer and Cross. The hammer and cross is a symbol historically used by certain far-right and neo-Nazi groups in Europe, combining the hammer, often representing labor, and the cross, or power, with the Christian cross to signal nationalist and extremist ideology. Authorities in several countries, particularly Germany and Austria, have banned its public display, especially in propaganda, rallies, or online content, due to its association with hate speech, racial supremacy, and attempts to glorify totalitarian regimes. The ban aims to prevent the promotion of extremist ideologies that could incite violence or social unrest, while distinguishing the symbol from legitimate religious or labor-related imagery. Che Guevara. The image of Che Guevara, particularly the famous stylized portrait by Alberto Corda, has become an iconic symbol of revolutionary ideology, anti-imperialism, and Marxist movements worldwide. While widely popular in popular culture in several countries, especially those with strong anti-communist laws or histories of violent revolutionary movements, public display of Guevara's image is restricted. The bans or limitations target propaganda use, public demonstrations, and merchandise that glorifies armed rebellion or socialist revolution. Authorities argue that promoting his image can incite political unrest, radicalization, or support for extremist movements, especially among youth or groups sympathetic to guerrilla or insurgent tactics. Yin-Yang. The Yin-Yang symbol, originating from Chinese philosophy, represents balance, duality, and the interconnectedness of opposing forces such as light and dark, or male and female. While generally a spiritual and philosophical emblem, it has faced restrictions in some contexts where authorities feared its association with nonconformist or foreign ideologies. For example, during periods of cultural suppression, certain regimes limited its display in schools, public art, or media to maintain ideological uniformity. The bans do not target the symbol itself, but rather its use as a marker of philosophical or spiritual beliefs considered incompatible with prevailing political, religious, or social norms. All-seeing. The all-seeing eye, often depicted as an eye within a triangle, is historically associated with divine providence, Freemasonry, and Enlightenment ideals. Over time, it has also been linked to conspiracy theories, secret societies, and perceived global surveillance or control. Some countries and institutions have restricted its public display, particularly in contexts interpreted as promoting occult influence, secretive power, or anti-government sentiment. The bans focus on preventing the symbol from being used to intimidate, manipulate, or convey hidden authority, rather than its historical or artistic meaning. It remains controversial because of its dual association with spirituality and conspiracy narratives. Lion. The Lion of Judah is a symbol with deep religious and cultural significance, representing the tribe of Judah in Judaism, and later associated with Ethiopian royalty and the Rastafari movement. It signifies strength, courage, and spiritual authority. However, in some historical contexts, particularly during colonial or authoritarian rule, its display was restricted or banned when linked to anti-colonial movements, resistance, or political activism. Authorities targeted the symbol to suppress rebellion or movements seen as threatening the established order. The ban usually focused on public demonstrations, flags, or emblems used in protests rather than its purely religious or cultural contexts. From controversial protests to hidden meanings behind powerful emblems, every banned symbol tells a story of fear, control, and ideology. Each ban reveals the lengths societies go to prevent hate, unrest, or extremist influence. To explore more forbidden flags and the stories they carry, subscribe and watch our next video on every banned flag explained.